Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is GODInTheWax bringing you another video. So I kind of wanted to briefly talk about, needles for turntables and we're using them in a DJing setting. Now, most needles or all needles pretty much come with a recommended tracking force. So like for these Gico J44A7s, the tracking force recommended is somewhere between like 4 and 4.5 maximum tracking weight, I should say. And I guess it is called tracking force. But anyway, uh, but what I wanted to say was that yesterday I was recording a set, and I had this deck. I had two records that it did it on. I basically had the needle set to the 4.5 grams on each side, and on this deck, the needle was skipping on two records. Now I know these records were clean; they're newer records. It's not like they're older records. They're newer pressings, you know what I mean? So they're in good shape. They weren't dirty. I clean them off all the time with my Groove Glide and the sponge that it comes with. So I ended up turning up the head shell weight to the maximum because I used to do that before. I was just testing it out when I turned it to the recommended tracking force, but I turned the head shell weight all the way up to the maximum on both decks, and then those records weren't skipping anymore. Okay, so uh, that was what the issue was. Just the head shell weight, or the tone arm weight for the head shell on the needle and the when it was on the vinyl was not heavy enough, and whatever the issue was, it was causing it to skip. So what I wanted to say was that there's a recommended tracking force, but I would say that that's kind of mainly only meant for if you're just listening to records. You know what I mean? Like if you're just listening to records, it doesn't really matter to you if the record skips or anything like that. I mean, it matters to you, but it's not the end of the world. But when you're doing like a DJ set, if you're in a live setting, if you're in front of people, if you're at a party, if you're at an event, or even if you're just streaming on Twitch or Mixcloud Live, you really don't want your records to skip because it kind of throws you into a panic, uh, gets you flustered, and then it kind of throws off the rest of your set. It might take you a long time to calm down from that, trying to figure out what the issue was. Like you're over here queuing up your next record, and this record is over here skipping, or repeating the same phrase over and over again, and it throws you off, and then you got to kind of move the needle forward or something like that, or switch records or whatever it is you do to get out of that. But like I said, it kind of throws you off for the rest of the set, or it might take you a long time to calm down and get back into a groove and mellow out and get to playing like you normally know how to play. You know what I mean? Or know how to mix. So yeah. So like with these Gico J44A7s, these are just clones of the Shure M447. And with the Shures, I had the Shures before I got these. I had Shures, and I sold them when I got these. But you can turn the head shell weight all the way up to the maximum, and it's not gonna really affect anything. You know what I mean? Like here, I'll play this record real quick. Let me just let you see. So this one's all the way up.
Baby, baby, sweet baby.
All right. So anyway, that's a Anita Baker record, but I'm sorry, Aretha Franklin. But what I was gonna say was that you can turn the head shell weight all the way up to the maximum on these. I could probably even put a penny on top of this head shell, and it's not gonna affect the record or the performance of the needle at all. The record is still gonna sound just as good as if I had it at the recommended tracking force. I don't know why that is with this particular design, but it is how it is. So you can do that with a needle like this. I would imagine, I have the Orthophone VNL. I have these. I had the Shure M447s before I sold them, and then I have the Orthophone OM Cubers, and then I had the Orthophone OM Pro S, and I sold the Pro or gave the Pro S away to another DJ that I knew online. But with the Orthophone OM Cubers, if you try to turn the head shell weight or the tone arm weight all the way to the maximum, it kind of messes up the quality of the sound. Like I tested it, or I saw somebody say that online, and I tested it myself and verified that is the truth. It just didn't sound as good as when you kept it at the recommended tracking force, which I think was like 3 or 3.5 grams. So it depends on the needle you have if you can do this or not. Make sure you look online, maybe do some research on the needles that you're using or the cartridges that you're using, and see, if people have tried to put the max tone arm weight on it, and if it distorted the sound or if it didn't sound as good. The cubers, the OM cubers, definitely have that issue. So you cannot turn those up to the maximum tracking force. You might be able to go a little bit. I think what I did was I went a little bit over the 3.0 or 3.5, whatever it was at the time. I think I went to like 4 or 4.5. But if you try to jam it and slam it all the way in up to the maximum, like I do on these cartridges, it's going to sound terrible. It's not going to sound as good, and you're not going to be getting the best quality sound. But that's all I want to say in this video. Basically, just when you're DJing, you don't necessarily have to stick to the recommended tracking force like it's a golden rule or like it's a law. It's a recommended tracking force for DJing purposes. Turning the head shell or the tone arm or the tone arm weight to the maximum might be your best bet to keep the needle from skipping when you're scratching, or if you're beat juggling, or even if you're just playing, depending on the record, whatever. And who knows what caused that record to skip yesterday. But when I turned the weight up, it didn't skip anymore. So, uh, and the tone arm was set up properly. I got the height set right. I got the anti-skate set right. So it's just something that happens, and it's happened to me before, and I had forgotten about it. But yeah, just make sure turn that hair shell weight up as high as you can if you can. Check your needle specs. Check online for people who are talking about that needle or that cartridge, and see if you can do something like that. And yeah, it's not a golden rule. All right. Anyway, that's it for the video. Take it easy. Later.